All right. A lovely face from the garden of the world is enough for us. From this grassland, the shade of the graceful cypress is enough for us. May I be spared my lower self, the company of dishonest people, and their heavy ladle of self-righteous hypocrisy. The generous ladle of wine is enough for us. They bestow the palace of Firdaus as reward for good deeds. We who are a rogue and a fakir, the ruination in the house of intoxication is enough for us. Sit by the flowing stream and watch the passage of your life. This hint to the passing show of the world is enough for us. Watch the give and take in the marketplace of the world and the tyranny practiced there. If that is not enough for you, this loss and gain is enough for us. The beloved is with us. Why should we quest for pilgrimage? The good fortune of having the intimate companion of our soul is enough for us. For God's sake, don't turn me away from your door to send me to paradise. Being in your alley rather than in heaven or luxuries of the world is enough for us. We do not harbor any desire other than your union. This, in exchange of the goods of both worlds, is enough for us. Hafez, to complain about the share of destiny is unfair. In nature like pure water and flowing ghazals like yours is enough for us. Did it do the job, Jeff, better than the other one? Muted.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, you had said something about the other translation just didn't.
Yeah, it was kind of convoluted.
Together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had to work at understanding it. Hey, but just, since Cliff is here, I'm going to tell a joke that was told in Mandalay Hall. Erich used to like this. This guy was, climbing up this very sheer mountain. Incredibly steep. And when he got near the summit of it, he lost his footing and everything and started sliding down the cliffside right there. And just at the last moment, he caught this tree that was sticking out from one of the rock face, and he was just dangling there. And terrified, is holding on for dear life, and he looks way down, and there's the village down below. He says, "Hello, hey, can someone help me, please?" The villagers, they come out, and they're looking up at him, they're holding their arms out. "There's nothing we can do, we can't get to that place. There's no way. No, God, you gotta help me." Said, "There's nothing we can do. Call up above." So he says, "Is there anybody up there?" "Yes, I'm here." "Can you help me? I mean, is there anything you can help me?" "Yes, if you just follow what I say." "Well, what do you want me to do?" "Let go." "Is there anybody else up there?" But so Erich used to say, "This is really what surrender is." Erich would say, that's surrender.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So inconceivable.
Go.
But that was like,
That's great. Jay Baba.
yeah.
Can I just butt in here with it? I have a video for Marge that it's her birthday. It's still her birthday.
Hey, is it Marge's birthday?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
Great.
Is she there though? We got to
Yes, she's
hear
there.
that.
Well,
Make
I
sure
don't
she's
know.
there.
I don't know if she's awake. She's
I'm here.
All
all
right.
right.
All right.
Marge, here you go.
It's Marge's birthday.
Marge?
Yeah.
Brilliant!
Happy birthday,
Happy
Marge.
birthday, Marge! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marge. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Marge.
Hey, that's nice.
Thank you, Betty. That was great. Thank you,
Oh
everybody.
my God, it's so great.
That's so cute.
Thank you, everybody.
Yay.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday,
to
Marge.
Yay.
Thank you, Jay Baba.
That was a good one, Marge.
Happy 25.
Oh, you got it. Thank you. Yes, Fair Stay. It's been a great one with you all. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic.
Birthday.
Good.
So,
And I loved your special picture that you sent, Fair Stay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That was fun
Aw.
finding one just with your name on it.
That was
Oh,
great.
you did. That was from you. Oh, neat.
Yeah, she thought it was from you. That's how I rate.
And you fessed up. Thank you.
Yeah. No, Lenita had her hand up. I
Yeah.
butted in here. Are you there?
I'm
Go for it,
here.
Anita.
can I talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna tell a story that happened at Mandalay Hall involving Ira, me, and Erch. So it was my first time in India, and Erch wants me to. My Mandalay Hall was full of people, and Erch asked me to tell how I came to Baba. I was scared to death, to talk in public, especially in front of Erch. So, but then when Erich asked me, how did you came to Baba? How do you get to know about Baba? Ira jumped in front of me before I start talking. And Ira said, well, for anybody who doesn't know what Ira is, Ira was my late husband, He passed away 4 years ago. He was my window to Baba. He introduced me to Meher Baba. So, and then Ira jumped in front of me, and Ira said to Erich, I make her a Baba lover. Erich laughed so hard. He was laughing for 5 minutes without stopping. He laughed. I got the nerve to tell Erich, that he made me a Baba lover. All right, so and I feel like I wanna dig a hole in my feet and just disappear off the face of the earth in that moment. So that's the story.
Jai Baba.
Very nice.
Hey, Baba.
Lenita, you're
Jai
frozen. You
Baba.
might want to restart your browser.
Mm.
Yeah, talking over jokes, Jeff and everybody. Do you guys know the joke that I believe Mani used to narrate regarding a kindergarten class?
Oh, yeah.
You guys know it? Okay.
Jeff is muted.
Well, I'll say
Kindergarten,
it anyway. It's pretty quick.
do you know the story?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a story, it's a joke. I mean, so what happens is there is this kindergarten class and there are a bunch of kids out there, and then so the teacher asks the kids, where is God? So one hand pops up and he says, so he's in the temple. Another one says he's in mosque, and so on and so forth. And there is this little one at the back very like that boy or girl raises the hand, and the teacher says, "Where do you think is God?" Well, he says, "He's in my bathroom." Then the teacher is obviously surprised. Why do you think so? Then he says, "Every day in the morning, my dad goes to the bathroom and he says, 'Oh my God, are you in there?'" So apparently the mom takes a bit of time in the bathroom.
Jeff, what's up? You're muted. You can't unmute yourself?
Oh, let me try. I mean, maybe I can do something here. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
see if you
still,
can unmute him.
yeah, I can do that. Jeff, I mean, I did, but something happened. I don't know.
There we go. Well, no.
Well, I mean, I messed up this time. Try again, Jeff. Try again.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just thought that the poem that Ferrisday read reminded me of this poem by Rabia, where she writes, "O God, if I adore you out of fear of hell, burn me in hell. If I adore you out of desire for paradise, lock me out of paradise. But if I adore you for yourself alone, do not deny to me your eternal beauty."
Wow.
Your eternal duty or beauty?
Beauty, do not deny me your eternal beauty.
Who was the writer?
Rabia.
Rabia. Oh, Rabia Basra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabia.
Baba John.
Ah.
Rabia or Rabia?
Rabia of Basra.
Or it is Rabia al Adawiyya?
What?
Rabia
Rabia al
Basra.
Adawiyya?
Meher Baba said that she was a previous incarnation of Baba John.
Wow.
Pardon?
Another thing she said is, "Dear one, why do you keep pounding on an open door, begging to be let in?"
Well, it's funny those two poems are like juxtapositions to each other. The first one is incredibly steep and sheer cliffs, and the second one is just a no-brainer. It's like how do you do the both? How can you possibly balance out the both situations?
Jake,
Tell you what.
Jake, you're a psychic.
Am I now?
Yeah, we had a whole thing about cliffs earlier.
Oh, did you now?
Yeah, tell that story again.
Oh no, you don't have to do that. If it's already been said, I will.
Well, I have to read my poems twice, so why not?
That's amazing that he came up with that. Hey, we got Ganesh here, and we got Jake and Mayor Prasad. Yikes.
And Chen also here.
Orang. Bunch.
Jai Baba.
Here's something. This is from Sheikh Tusun Bayrak. The lower self, or the ego, is like a thief who sneaks into your house at night to steal whatever is valuable and worthwhile. You cannot fight this thief directly because it will mirror whatever force you bring against it. If you have a gun, the thief will have a gun. If you have a knife, the thief will have a knife as well. To struggle with the thief is to invite disaster. So what can you do? The only practical solution is to turn on the light. The thief who is a coward at heart will then run out. How do we turn on the light? Through the practice of remembrance, awareness, and heedfulness of the beloved.
That's beautiful.
Who wrote this, Jeff?
What's that?
Wow. Who wrote this?
Who wrote?
The name is Sheikh Tucson Bayrak. I think Thursday would be able to
like
pronounce
to have
that
this,
better.
you know, to have this on me, I mean, handy for me to read sometimes, once in a while.
Pardon me, I got something from Baba. It's called The Missing Link. And I think everyone can benefit from it if you allow me, if I share it with you. If that's okay, whenever you have time. Or you can forget it, I can do it tomorrow.
Go ahead.
You want me to? Okay. Goes The Missing Link, Baba. On May 23rd, 1934, Baba began dictating for the first time the theme of creation in the room of the back veranda of the mess quarters at Lower Mehrabad. Baba began by pointing out, scientists understand evolution from the first life to the last human life, but none knows why this evolution of forms takes place. After human lives, what is there? The scientists knew nothing. It is all due to the evolution of consciousness that forms evolve. For example, take the body as a consciousness and clothes as the body. Now the size of this shirt is according to your body. If the hand is cut off tomorrow, the shirt might be minus one sleeve. So it is due to consciousness that the body changes. Discussing this, the beginning of evolution of forms, Baba dictated, the ocean was very warm and still, and due to the presence of gas and air in the water, it became rusty. Angie was formed from this rust, then gradually seaweed. The Angie used to sink below from above. Then it reached the bottom of the ocean. It became seaweed. From the original Angie came seaweed, and from seaweed, vegetation. Baba then described in detail some unusual creatures in his evolution of forms, relating as far back as prehistoric times when dinosaurs existed. One of the first gross forms of reptiles had 3 heads. It was about 175 feet long and 14 feet wide. The middle head was about 6 feet and in circumstances. The 3 heads were joined together. The side head was about 2 feet in circumference. In front part resembled by the reptile and the back as a fish. The front was stout and the back portion was thin. Its belly was 10 feet round and tempered in a breadth of 6 feet at tail. The middle head contained a jaw and teeth, just like the fish, but the side's head had only holes connected to the gills and no teeth. All these 3 mouths were connected with one another, and when breathing, they breathed simultaneously as it had one windpipe. Each head has an eye, and so the creature had 3 eyes. From prehistoric times, birds have 2 eyes. They became under different class. Having evolved out of an ordinary womb of worms and fish, one bird is so particular that only one can have any idea of even the wildest imagination. This bird is half bat and very large, about 15 feet high. It has 2 legs like an ostrich. Its neck is about 2 feet in circumference. Its head, however, is small, only about 2 feet when compared to its body. Its wingspan is 6 feet. Its beak is like a vulture's, the end being thick and the pointing thing. The missing link is a creature exactly like a gorilla, but with a short tail. And whereas the gorilla uses its hands while walking, the missing link walks on its feet. His face is like a chimpanzee, and his figure and giant of walking are like gorillas. After this missing link, the first human form evolves. It is a physically or sexually enhanced. Scientists might find signs of this so-called missing link in Java, Sumatra, or the Indian jungles in central province of Malanda Prada. This is from Lord Mayor, first edition, volume 5, page 1871 and 72 from Balculture. Thank you for allowing me to read this.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, some of these people on my screen kind of might resemble some of that. I mean, look at,
Look, I've got 3 heads.
yeah. Hey, any thing to share, you guys? Any questions or?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
That sheikh you mentioned, how do you spell his name?
Tosun, and the last name is Bayrak.
I see.
And
Thank
Sheikh.
you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll Google him.
Yeah.
Can you reread that, Jeff?
What's that?
Can you read that once more?
Okay. Your lower self, your ego, is like a thief who sneaks into your house at night to steal whatever is valuable and worthwhile. You cannot fight this thief directly because it will mirror whatever force you bring against it. If you have a gun, the thief will have a gun. If you have a knife, the thief will have a knife as well. To struggle with the thief is to invite disaster. So what can you do? The only practical solution is to turn on the light. The thief, who is a coward at heart, will then run out. How do we turn on the light? Through the practice of remembrance, awareness, and heedfulness of the beloved. I mean, I've never felt the Baba wanted us to try to tackle the ego, but, you know, just turn to him directly. And I mean, a lot of people think, oh, I got to worry about my ego. Just kind of worry about remembering love and remembering Baba. That's all what I've always gathered. Not to worry about the ego. I mean, it's there. I think of the ego is like a Doberman pincer, you know. You got to kind of go quietly by. Don't make any noise. Don't kind of awaken the the animal. Yeah.
So I guess he was a Sufi, died recently in February of 2018.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was from way back.
Well, he was born in 1926, so the guy was very, very, very old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was born in 26, died in 2018.
Wow.
It's from Istanbul, and actually he died in New York. Wow, at the age of 92.
Wow.
He was a Sufi sheikh.
It's like a lot of those people up in the dizzy heights, like Margaret Krask and Darwin Shaw and Kitty, who lived to 100.
Yeah.
Hey,
oh, did we lose Ganesh? Uh-oh.
Speaking of people who have gotten old, do you care to share any stories about Dr. Harry Kenmore? Is that his name?
Yeah, Dr. Harry Kenmore.
Yeah, I overheard you mentioning you have some wonderful stories about Dr. Kenmore. And I'd love to hear some of them.
Okay. One second here.
I have a funny one. I don't know if it's wonderful.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, and Ganesh is back, by the way.
What's that? Oh.
Ganesh just came back in.
Yeah, I lost my connection. I'm back. Yeah.
So, Meher Prasad, if you want to share your story, I'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, it's a very short one. I found it very funny. Harry is walking one day into this store that he usually goes to, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but the gist is correct. So he walks into the store, and one day they are doing some repairs. So as you walk into the store, it's like there is a opening under the floor. So they opened that floor, and Harry didn't know that. So he walked into the store and he fell. He basically fell right through that opening. It's about 15 feet or something down into the cellar. And while he was falling, he said, "God damn," and he fell down. And then later on, he said, "It's good that I did not die then, because my last words would have been 'God damn.'"
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like in New York where they have these, they don't have attics or storage, except you can't drive a truck around. We're talking about Manhattan. They have these huge plates that open up on the sidewalks, and the delivery drops the things down, and it's stored underneath the building. So I'll tell you a little bit about Harry Kenmore, but this is worth prefacing. What I'm going to read is a message that Baba gave called "The Flash from the Eternal." And this figures into the story. Baba says, "The act of a perfect master is not repetitive. It is not merely the redoing of something previously experienced in the context of a new setting. It is the doing of something that cannot be done within the restrictions of the experiences of duality." Now this is the good line. "It is a creation of the utterly new, a descent of the truth into the false. Hence its creativity is infinite. The redeeming act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in the midst of what is otherwise nothing but rigidly determined causation. This is the mystery of divine grace bestowed by the perfect master." How did that, you hear that all right?
Yeah, what was it that you wanted to preface? You said you wanted to preface.
That's the preface. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So Dr. Kenmore, I spent a lot of time with him, and he was very popular in school. He lived in New York, grew up there, and was very lively, was part of, on the stage doing plays and music and everything. Very popular, and he was larger than life personality.
Than a clock.
But his parents didn't tell him that he was destined to become blind. And suddenly, when he was 16, he woke up in the morning and he was blind.
So this was like a genetic, this was like a genetic condition that they knew he was going to inherit.
Yeah, and so he was very, he was very angered at this. He was angry at his parents who didn't give him any forewarning. And his parents, back then, people who were blind, one of the things that they did in the city was to go around and wheelbarrow and sell rags to people. That was kind of one of their professions, vocations. And his parents said, "Why don't you just go and get a wheelbarrow and sell rags?" And he was so offended that he just basically left home. And he was a fearless guy. And he got into hopping on freight trains with the help of people. And he joined the circuses, and he would sing at circuses. And he even told me he learned how to hypnotize whole crowds of people by the inflection of his voice and everything. He got way off into that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And he did that for a number of years, but then he decided he wanted to settle down. He came back to New York, and he had a buddy of his who had either was studying to become a chiropractor or who was one. And so he decided to become a chiropractor. So he studied, and he got help from his buddy, and he became a chiropractor and became an excellent one. In fact, in the end, he could give you an adjustment remote control. He could give you, you could stand over there on a distance from him, and he could give you adjustments. the way people do when they push on the table. He became quite renowned. But anyway, but the thing that was, he resented the fact that he was blind. It disturbed him profoundly. And at one point he decided to meditate. And so he told me he meditated for 10 years. Now, 10 years, he had such an intensity that 10 years for him would be 200 years for any normal human being.
Is this all before he met Baba?
What's that?
Is this all before
This
he
is
met
all
Baba?
before he met Baba. In fact, he told me that he even experienced during this period going from through the infinite power of the fourth plane. But at one point, he was meditating and in his office, and suddenly he could see in a heightened state of meditation. And what it was is that he, his inner eye was not blind. His physical eyes were blind, but he got up into his subtle realm and he could see. But here's the thing is that he told me at one point he got into seeing his past lives. And he studied and saw the whole kind of logic or whatever, the whole progression of lifetimes. And it became clear that he should not have been blind. And that infuriated him. He could tell that he was not destined to be blind, and was very disturbed at that. But anyway, so then I think either Margaret Krask or Adele had heard of him as a chiropractor, and they went to him. And he had all sorts of powers too. I mean, he could cast out spirits and things like that, he told me. But they told him about Baba, and he became a Baba lover, devoted to Baba, I guess, almost right away. And I think he first met Baba in '56 in New York. I can't remember, but he came down to the center in 1956. And he went into the lagoon cabin for his interview, and Baba was there, and I don't know I can't remember all the exchange, but but one of the first things that he said to Baba is, "Why did I become blind?" And Baba said, "I created your blindness. You were destined to be a world-renowned surgeon, but you wouldn't have had time for me." And as it turned out, because he would have been in the beck and call of all the wealthy and royalty of the world. But as a chiropractor, he could give his practice to this friend of his, and then he could come and see Baba for long periods. He worked on Baba. He worked on Baba. He may have been the one that enabled Baba after the accident in '56 to be able to walk again. Wow. I'm not 100% sure, but he did work on him during that period. But see, the thing about what I read there in the beginning, grace is the descent of, it's the descent of, what is it here? Just a second. This is the significant thing about it. Yeah. The redeeming act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in the midst of what is otherwise nothing but rigidly determined causation.
Say that again. That's pretty potent right there.
I'll say it again. I'll say the redeeming act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in the midst of what is otherwise nothing but rigidly determined causation.
Right.
So he looked at his past lives, the rigidly determined causation. He should not have been blind. But the grace of Baba came in. Hello? The grace of Baba over, was a flash of the eternal
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
in the midst of what is otherwise. That's why he couldn't, there was no explanation for his blindness except grace.
So you mean like he couldn't even see, because it was the flash of the eternal, he couldn't even see that flash in the inner workings of the karma. Is that, am I understanding that correctly? Like he couldn't, I mean, I understand the nature of what you were saying, but I just was trying to think of, so he was blind, because it was a flash of the eternal, he was blind to that flash.
Yeah, it doesn't show up on your karmic and the unfoldment of your karma in the normal way, the cause and effect. This thing is grace. It comes down. It's above the laws.
Okay. So how did Harry feel when he heard this answer from Baba?
And that was the first time, right, good you asked. That's the first time he accepted his blindness. And he never had a problem with his blindness after that.
Wow.
Somewhere I heard,
what's
somebody
that?
said, somewhere I heard that somebody said that Baba did say that Harry Kenmore will be born as a perfect master in his future lives, in one of his future lives. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep, he will. He was so, his presence was so rarefied that during the period I was seeing him, his presence dissolved 90% of my physical awareness. I would be like walking. I couldn't even feel my feet. He was so, it dissolved. I didn't have. I would tell my friends, I only weigh as much as a hand. I weighed about 5 pounds. Didn't matter whether I was in his presence or away from his presence.
Oh.
But Jeff, what does that mean?
What's that?
What does that mean? What are you saying about your weight?
That's only because, Jeff, you were already an advanced soul.
No,
not everybody felt that.
It just dissolved. It just dissolved, my physical awareness. He was so rarefied.
So what kind of awareness you had? You had the awareness of your soul, not of your body, not
Yeah,
your
I just lost 90% of my physical awareness. And it was actually not bad.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it would be as if you became numb and all you could feel was your hand. But it wasn't numb. It wasn't like numbness because it was something beautiful.
Oh, okay. If it was beautiful, it's okay.
Yeah.
So
Baba told
then when you recover the awareness of your body again?
After I left New York, after I, wasn't seeing him, then I.
Oh, okay. This happened only when you were in his presence.
Yeah, it happened during that whole period when I was seeing him.
Oh, okay.
But I lost it all.
Jeff, did you have this similar experience with Darwin?
I think I read that about my thing with Darwin, right? Well, I'll tell you this. When I, one of the things that Adi Keirani happened to say back early on, and it made a deep impression on me, he said, for a Baba lover, it's best to remain on the gross world. If you get up if you transcend the gross world, Baba has to bring you down, and that involves great suffering. Yeah. Do you follow that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what he said. I mean, Adi said. So I started going to Darwin and Jean's meetings, and I would experience such an experience of bliss, such an expansiveness at these meetings that I never wanted it to end. I mean, it was so vast and everything. I never wanted it to end. In fact, even the thought that it might end was excruciating. But then the meetings were on Sunday, and Monday I had to go into the county nursing home in the infirmary part and work with all of these old men who were in extreme pain at the end of their lives. So I would kind of come off of this bliss and just crash land into this nursing home. It was horrible. And I did that for about 3 meetings, you know, because those meetings were so rarefied because they had the meetings, the Baba meetings, the Shahs, the longest lasting meetings in America. They went back to 1935, longest Baba meetings. So their place was really saturated. And for about three meetings, I would go way off into this bliss and everything. And after about 3 times, I said, I'm not going up there anymore. I'm going to stay down on earth. And then even Adi said, you know, if you get up, you know, you get above, you can, Bob has to bring you down, and that causes great suffering. So I was determined. I'm just going to settle for just simple everyday being happy. Do I need more? You know what I mean? If you're thirsty, you know, water is fine. You don't necessarily have to have some fancy beverage, you know. So I determined to just do just simple happiness, but that happiness was very, very solid. What I did, instead of going to bliss, I went to a state of joy. In fact, I discovered that the experience for me of my soul at a elevated level was bliss. My experience at the street level was of joy. The experience of my soul at the street level was joy. So I went for joy, and with joy, I didn't have all these horrible extremes, you know, crash landing when I went back to work. So joy, I discovered joy is at the heart of me.
I love that reflection, Jeff. I think that's really beautiful.
Was that something you did on your own intuition, or was that something they suggested to you, either of those?
That was my own doing.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed in that rarefied atmosphere, and I did not go up. I just stayed on earth.
That even goes like that the experience you're sharing even goes back to the story you tell about Erich and Erich, you know, talking about how this might not be exact parallel to what you're saying, but similar idea where he, you know, chooses not to drink from the chalice.
Yeah.
And he chooses to, you know, well, no, maybe that's not the one. The one where he chooses to stay here and present and not rolling around in bliss and ecstasy. He chooses to stay on the ground. And what I like about that too, even for me, because I mean I'm my imagination and mind is a sucker for wanting to know what the planes are like and the mental planes and the subtle planes and all this kind of stuff. But you know, allowing yourself to get brought up by that bliss that you're talking about, you really don't know where you're going to get blasted to and how long you'll be lost up there for. While being here in the gross world, I can really feel how it's much more of a solid footing in moving forward, moving towards Baba, because you know, who knows what you can get caught up in and lost in that space. You know, I mean, that goes back to like Baba's warning about, I don't know if it's a Baba's warning, if it is directly Baba's warning, but you know, cautioning, you know, getting lost on the plains, the side roads of the plains and whatnot.
Well, for us, it doesn't apply because we already are his disciples or we're following him. So there's no chance for us to get caught on the plains. period.
Well, no, I
But
mean,
I agree with you,
yeah.
Jeff, that it would be painful to come down, up and down would
Oh.
be very painful.
Yeah. But here's an interesting thing that, you know, for this is back in the mid 70s. We were in Mandalay Hall with Erich, and the talk had been about the lower self and the higher self. And the discussion had gone on for about an hour, and there was kind of a pause. And I said, just popped into my head, I said, Erich, I have a feeling what we've done here is we've divided the lower self into a lower and higher, and the lower part of the lower self is trying to realize the higher part of the lower self, and that the higher self is something altogether different. And boy, he looked at me with such a look of acknowledgement. In other words, I'll say that again, that I think Erich, what we've done is we've divided the lower self into a lower and higher, and the lower part of the lower self is trying to realize the higher part of the lower self, and the higher self is something altogether different. Now, here's the interesting thing: the higher side of the lower self is all the spiritual planes. All the spiritual planes are the higher side of the lower self. That's why Baba says, stay out of there, go directly to him. Go to the real. Because Adi used to say, the difference between someone on the gross plane and someone on the sixth plane is someone on the gross plane is drowning in 6,000 feet of water. Someone on the sixth plane is drowning in 6 inches of water.
Love that. That's awesome.
I'll tell you though, the most valuable thing I learned from Harry Kenmore, and I don't really know how to describe it exactly, but it's something to think about. Before I came there, I was out in Seattle, and and there was a lot of, in the university area, there was a lot of drugs and everything, and the vibrations were hitting my head and my back, my spine and everything, and I have these horrible headaches, and it was awful. All of this horrible pain from vibrations that opened up somehow. And when I got there to New York and I started seeing him, all of that went away. But what I learned from him, I imbibed it really, is that because I was kind of having to protect myself from the sharpness of the atmosphere. And he basically conveyed to me, just flow right through everything. Don't shrink. Flow through everything. Flow through buildings, flow through people. In other words, get the current go stronger than any current that you will encounter in this world.
That's beautiful.
You know, and it is possible to work on your force field so that the impacts of the external, the world, the vibration of the world, don't pull you under.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say, you know, you got to draw your limits and everything. And I'm not saying that you should do this, but you know, a lot of people say you got to keep your boundaries and all of that. And that, I think that's important normally, but with Harry, you just bulldoze right through all boundaries, going the other way.
But isn't there a subtle difference between, you know, holding certain boundaries and this idea here? Because I was just working with myself around, you know, kind of stoking stirring up my internal flow to you know, kind of radiate and broadcast outward, you know, trying to break through the boundaries that I would put up on my inner self.
Yeah.
But that would be a different kind of context to creating boundaries than, say, you know, there's someone who you just get a bad feeling from. And so you can put up a physical boundary to them, but still from an internal level flow to them or flow through them. I mean, I think I've even heard you say that before, Jeff, like, you know, you can say no to someone's physical interaction with someone, but you don't have to cut off the internal connection, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not necessary. You may have to keep a distance externally from certain individuals, but internally flow through them. Flow to them and through them. I mean, that was invaluable for me. So you don't shrink.
But then what's all this business about, you know, like your internal states welcoming people to you? You know, like you're like calling people to you from like your internal state or your internal longing or desires, you know, like this idea, like I get sometimes worried about, like, if I'm internally connecting with someone, that somebody that, you know, I feel like I shouldn't have any kind of a physical interaction with for whatever reason. I get worried then because I'm trying to still stay connected internally with them, that I'm still going to be drawing them in somehow or whatnot. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like a point of confusion or a lack of trust perhaps on my end, or lack of experience with understanding that boundary in the flowing state. But I mean, don't we call things to us from an internal space?
I have a thought in that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If we radiate out impersonally, I think it's safer than radiating to someone, because after all, we are, you know, we're not targeting people, so to speak. We want to just be expansive to include the entire creation, the entire existence, rather than individually. And I guess what you're saying, Jake, resonates with me personally, because I may have experience with that, and it's not a good idea, because it kind of tends to bind you subtly to that person. So if we are more impersonal in our love and just love all unconditionally and expansively, then I think it's a safer path.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the love can be very personal and yet not binding. I mean, that is possible, besides the radiating kind of more of an impersonal love. I mean, I think of Erich, you know, he's very personal, and he didn't seem to get bound by the interactions that he had with people.
But was his being personal because he was universal? I mean, you know, when Baba looked at each person, they felt as if they were the only ones, but yet Baba radiated love impersonally to all. And it wasn't like he was just going to target you and, you know, put his nazar on you. He would have, I don't know. It just seems to me like he's just the sun radiating everywhere.
No, but Baba is personally with each one, whether they believe in him or not, whether they're following him. Not only just people. He's with that ant and he's with the bird. He's personally with each thing.
Well, not with. He's not. Being with means two people.
Well, Yeah, I mean, the English language doesn't quite have the word.
Actually, we were just reading this in God Speaks today. I'll go to that page. You guys carry on until I find that page. It's beautiful. It's in the appendix.
Okay. Mayor Prasad, what do you think of all this?
I was thinking of Harry. Baba said that Harry was one of the Mandali.
Yeah.
And just before he dropped his body, you know that story. I think that's a beautiful story that Harry experienced after he went to Merazad after Baba dropped his body.
Yeah. Well,
And that's
Baba
a
also
very
told him earlier, probably in the latter 60s, that he was one of the Mandali. I remember because he had the tape. He had a tape recording of it. Yeah.
So I have it. It's the, shall I read it?
Yeah.
Gnosis of the sixth plane. Concerning the gnosis of the sixth plane, Meher Baba tells us, only God exists, and if anything exists due to ignorance, its reality is illusory. It then exists as God's shadow, which means that God is both in the stage of knowledge and ignorance. The following 4 angles of the one experience, written in the language of Sufi gnosis, are different aspects of gnosis of souls on the sixth plane, when they are face to face with God, but still in the domain of duality. All of these aspects are experienced together at the same time. Hame Ust. This means everything is He. And for one who experiences this gnosis, only God exists. Number 2 is Hame Az Ust. This means everything is from Him. And for one who experiences this gnosis, all phenomena, diversities, and manyness exists as illusion when ignorance prevails. Number 3 is Hame Ba'ust. This means everything is with Him, which is what you said. And for one who experiences this, God is both attributeless and with attributes. His attributes are unlimited when knowledge prevails and limited when ignorance prevails. Body, mind, and the 3 worlds do not exist, but if they seem to exist, they exist as shadows. And finally, Hamedar Ust.
It's 11:30.
This means everything is in Him. And for one experiencing this, even ignorance has no reality in itself. Its existence, when expressed, comes out of God's unconscious and infinite knowledge. And so whatever exists in duality due to ignorance has come out of God where it everlastingly existed. And then it goes on to the 7th plane.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that Baba's nazar is on everyone. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, it's not a separation, but it's kind of a mystery. But his nazar, he is with each person, experiencing what they're experiencing. A perfect master can't do that same, can't be that universal as Baba is. There was a perfect master who, after becoming realized, decided to see if he could fathom the stature and magnitude of the Prophet Muhammad. And he tried for maybe days. I don't remember, but for all of his efforts, all he could fathom of Prophet Muhammad was just a stake holding up the outside of his tent in the desert. He never got in the tent to see Muhammad himself. That's how great Baba is, how great Muhammad.
Wow.
I mean, even though they're one in reality, but when they're both in creation, Baba is just so much more comprehensive in creation. A perfect Baba says a perfect master acts and the avatar becomes.
Does he become only when he comes down?
No, I think I mean we feel him right here with us now. I think he's eternally with us.
He better be.
Yeah.
So, like, I've heard this saying, you know, that when the avatar comes down, the avatar doesn't only take on a human form, but takes on, you know, a form of all creatures simultaneously. You know, takes on the, you know, the.
An ant for an ant, a bird
An ant
for a bird.
right, right. So does that mean, like, for these ancient life form, you know, these life forms that live for, you know, hundreds of years, like a redwood tree, you know, Baba is still in that redwood tree somewhere? There is still the avatar redwood tree in California. We should go seek out.
That
I'm
would
kidding.
be,
Don't really go seek that out, but
yeah. I could imagine. I mean, I mean, it's pretty hard for us to benefit from knowing that, unless you could hang on to, unless you find that tree. When Norina was developing the center, she located certain what she called master trees. So Norina was kind of sensitive on that level, but there were certain master trees on the center.
Wow, that is cool.
Beyond my my scope.
What is a master tree? What is a master tree?
I
like
don't
the
know.
elder of the trees.
Okay, elder of
They
the
are
trees.
somehow significant, but it was never defined for me what a master tree is. But yeah,
Jeff, when you were saying about joy and bliss and you shared your experience on that,
yeah.
At some level, don't we feel it when we go to Mehrabad, say you stay there for a few days and then you come back to the world and you have 100 things to catch up over here at your home, at work and everything, and you kind of have to come down and get connected to all your things. Even that time we feel that little pain. That's what I can say. Means when you are at Baba's Samadhi, or any Baba place like Mehrazad, in fact, or center, something like that, you feel a kind of joy and bliss that you're in Avtar's company. And then when you go back to the world, and you have hundreds of things to catch up, and at the same time you feel that kind of little pain getting back to those things.
Yeah, because I see what can I say? It's like it is possible to stay in touch with the joy that's at the heart of you. Even if I mean, there are people who are in great physical suffering, and yet they feel joyous. They're in joy, even though they're in great physical suffering. Or they may be harassed by thoughts and everything, but it's still possible to experience joy while having those. If you're detached from those things happening, it's not like your thoughts and your body and your thoughts and your emotions have to suddenly calm down for you to go into the joy that's at the heart of us. It's possible to have your thoughts making their racket, your body in pain, and your emotions in a bad mood and bad state, and it's also possible to feel joy simultaneously. Because it's on they're on different tracks. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think it's about moving the consciousness away from all those pains and creating some joy.
Yeah, in fact, you don't have to create the joy. It's just sitting there. We're sitting in joy right now, or you could say bliss, but joy right now. But our attention is drawn away. There's a line from Rumi where he says, "You are so obsessed by the bad stitching on your sleeve that you fail to see the magnificence of your own garment. So we get, we get very involved in things, and we lose touch with the joy, but it's always there. In fact, I think you come to a stage where you know the joy is there. You no longer have to go back and keep checking to see if it's there. You know permanently that it's there. So then you feel there's a certain buoyancy that gives you. Oh, my joy is gone. My joy is gone. There comes a time when you know that the joy is always there. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, Ganesh, I like how you talked about, bringing your consciousness to that's the joy space, because that's very similar to the way I experience the transition. I can see my consciousness caught up in the anger or my fear or my worry, and it's a matter of like me reminding to bring my consciousness away from solely focusing on those individual points and remembering that I'm joy. I use the word I am love. I try to, that's where I try to shift my consciousness to, but I think it's the same ideas, same track, as you say, Jeff. So, but anyway, I like that perspective, Ganesh.
Thanks, Jack.
I remember being in the presence of the Mandali, and the way they would look at you is as if they were communicating with the Baba in you.
Yeah.
And in that sense, since they were able to connect with the Baba in you, they were uplifting you and changing your frequency. So in that sense, we can try to emulate that as well by trying to find the Baba, the hidden Baba in you, in each other.
Yeah.
I think that's the feeling of gratitude, I think it higher our frequency. When you have that feeling of gratitude, just by, walking around and seeing this beautiful sky, or eating a meal and enjoying that meal, being grateful for the meal that you're eating, for the bed you sleeping, that kind of simple things in life, I think for me, like it highs up my frequency when I have this feeling,
Grateful is joyful.
If I lose touch with this and start getting caught up in my ego, my lower, it gets into my lower frequency.
Yeah.
But I can higher up. If I'm conscious of that, I can higher up this just immediately, just whatever I'm doing, I'm grateful for that, and then I can, I think we can do this ourselves, I mean, I can do it, on my own.
Yeah. Beautifully expressed. Yeah.
I'm sure if you have the mandali, the presence of a higher frequency person already, near you, it helps a lot, like if you are in front of Jeff every day.
Yeah, then you
talk to Jeff every day.
Then you need
it helps you go like he when he was in the presence of Dr. Kenmore or even Darren Shaw,
Yeah.
He didn't help you, Jeff, to kind of higher up your.
It's contagious, the disease.
Yeah.
Pure heart is from heart to heart, you can't get it in, you have to get it from heart to heart.
Essence to essence, yeah. But Lenita, gratefulness is one of the divine qualities. So that means you're tuning in to the depths of you. It's like to say the higher frequency of the heart. gratefulness, forgiveness, empathy, humor, joy. These are all the divine qualities. They're not emotions. I used to think they were emotions or feelings, but they're actually they are the presence of the divine in you in the form of humor, in the form of, like I say, forgiveness. Those are they're aspects of divine love that are flowing in to us at the innermost level. And then and then the other ones are all the negative, good and bad feelings and emotions. They are all sanskaric. They're all.
I like that, Jeff. I like that. I mean,
what's that?
I like what you just said. Basically, not tying them to emotions. I mean, it's like, when you feel love, at least I had a tendency to associate with some sort of physical happening, be it tears or be it some kind of exalted feeling. But then during recent talks and everything, I realized that it's more of, it sort of ties you down. I mean, all the time you're now saying, okay, I want to experience love. I want to have tears in my eye. I mean, I want to shed these tears. And suddenly you are limiting it, and it doesn't happen all the time. So not tying, these qualities to emotions is probably is a key, actually. I mean, it's very important. I mean, that's what I think.
Well, there are tears, and then there are tears.
Erich used to say, warm tears are for the self, cool tears are for the beloved. So sometime when you have tears, check to see whether they're warm or cool.
I need a thermometer by the side.
One self-pity and the other, what's that?
Well, you can feel it actually. When the tear is hot, you will feel it. It's hot tear. It's coming from emotion.
Yeah.
But when the tear is cool, it's totally out of your control and it just flows.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Wow, I never felt the temperature of my tears.
Yeah. Always have a
Pay
thermometer.
attention next time.
Yeah. Go into
No. In fact, if you are happy, the happiness, or what you call in Telugu, Ananda Bashpalu. When you see a person who you love, like when you see Baba, sometime without knowing that you'll get tears. And that is called cool tears. That is what he called in Telugu, Ananda Bashpalu. That is a spontaneous tears which comes without anything. That is called cool tears. And which when you got warm tears, why it has come. Everyone normal. Warm tears is normal, but cool tears comes only in a certain situations.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you are talking about Harry. I remember two things. When I was a boy in 1962, when Rustu, what is his name? Mokam Singh came for darshan, he was suffering with the tonsils. At that time, when he bowed down to Baba, Baba just patted on this thing and shown a sign like this. What do you think about me? Then as a boy, I didn't understood that. I forgotten totally. When the 50th anniversary for 1962 took place in 2012, then I was referring the instances of my seeing Babas at that time. Kusum Mokam Singh said, I'll explain you that. And he was always had a feeling that Baba is silent and Harry is blind. How they used to communicate, how they see each other, means how Larry can see Baba and how Baba is to communicate with Larry. That was in mind in of Mokam. Then when Mokam said, then Baba said, how do you think that you are suffering with the tonsils? Same thing, you can feel. And that's what the explanation the Mokam has said. Like I have given a Divya Netra, means divine eyesight to Larry, and Larry is to work on that. He can see, he can feel my presence. He can have, when I am passing through, he can see me and he can always feel that my presence there. Such a gift he has given to Harry. That's what he explained. And another story which I remember is about Larry. Larry was compared to Namdev. He said Namdev was a very good bhakta of Krishna, and Namdev used to recite. He just told this narration to uh, Harry, and where Harry said about the story is Namdev is used to do jap, or what he called reciting Krishna's name before the statue, and he used to offer food to the statue, and he will always used to tell Krishna that if you eat this food, then only I'll eat my food. Otherwise, I won't eat. Then Krishna used to come and eat that food. So when you know that Baba, he came to treat Baba in 1957. So when he was treating, he told Baba that Baba, when I'm treating you, instead of reducing your pain, I'm increasing the pain. But Namdev's case, he was thinking, Baba said, statue doesn't have a will, and you are working as per my will, and you don't know, you all this accident, everything is planned according to my will. Don't worry, you treat, I'll be all right. That I want to share with you.
Yeah, thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of that. Worked on Baba. Yeah. Well, did we lose Ganesh? Huh. You know, here's one of the things that when I was young that I felt very encouraged by. And Baba says whatever, there are the divine qualities in us that I mentioned, you know, empathy, forgiveness, patience, humor, and everything. And Baba said whatever progress you make in the development of these qualities is never lost, and they are part of your capital for the next lifetime. In other words, if you reach a certain point of patience in this lifetime, you know, that doesn't diminish your next lifetime. You pick up where you left off.
Uh-huh.
So all the work that we do is as far as developing the divine qualities, you know, not mental qualities, but these divine qualities start to become our, you know, our inborn qualities for the next lifetime. So sometimes you'll see somebody who in this lifetime is very generous, you know, truly generous. And when you see generosity, pure generosity is so beautiful that if you're around somebody that's truly generous, you try to emulate them. Naturally, your soul does. Or if you see somebody who's very honest in the true sense, not the worldly honesty, but real honesty, spiritual honesty, I guess you say, it's something beautiful to see, and it wins you over. That's why Baba says, you know, one of the high roads to surrendering to him is to live in the company of lovers of God and render them wholehearted service. But I mean, to be like this with other lovers of God, where we are encouraging our better angels in each other.
That's beautiful.
So
I can really
Jeff,
feel that.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I don't understand the spiritual honesty. Can you comment on that, or anybody else? Because I never heard of this term before.
Well, that's my term. I mean, a lot of people think of worldly honesty, but there are times that you might appear dishonest, and yet you're dishonest for a loving reason. So,
you know, the Kirach used to say that truth is uplifting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Anything that doesn't uplift somebody, even though if it is true in the, you know, in the worldly sense, it's not
Exactly. In fact, Baba, yeah, Erich kind of grew up in, being a Parsi. Honesty was one of the tenets of the Zoroastrians. That's why the British would hire them to take care of their finances because they were meticulously honest. And Erich was very honest, but he was kind of outspoken. He would tell people honestly how he felt, and sometimes hurt them. And Baba let him do this, get away with this for a number of years. And then one day Baba said, Erich, you're very honest, but your way of honesty is different from mine. Your honesty, if I can remember, can hurt people. And then he said what Mayor Prasad quoted: "The truth is that which uplifts another. Whatever crushes another person cannot be true, even if it's true in a worldly sense." Oh well, I got a phone call coming in. Hey, Cigar, yeah. Oh, we're here. We're at the Zoom session. Yeah, come. Yeah, join us. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Good. Hey, I'll be in touch. Yeah, you're going to be here tomorrow night? Yeah, good. I'll be in touch. Yeah, yeah. Bye-bye. Yeah. Ganesh, you got an, I was thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
There's one story, I think, that tells about the spiritual honesty. I think it's given in discourses, and Baba says about this one story. That it was once this thief who goes into a house to rob stuff, and then when he enters the house, he sees a lady with a child, and the child is crying, and both are hungry, and they have no food. And the thief, out of his compassion, goes to another place, steals some food, and gets it for them. And Baba says, though in the worldly sense, he was not honest in stealing food for them, but what he did was a selfless act. That out of compassion he did it. So that is spiritually more rewarding. As what he did was spiritually very rewarding, because there was no self in that, and he did it out of compassion because he saw them hungry and he got food for them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Though he stole food and got for them, Baba said, but that was spiritually rewarding to him, because it was like he did it as a selfless act.
So he was forgiven because he stole out of compassion of somebody, for somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't steal for himself. He did it for somebody
Something
else.
like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
That's good, Dinku.
You know what? I shared this today there was a kind of a remembrance of Erich today. But one time in Mandalay Hall, well, Charles Haynes had come with his partner, a guy named Robert Love, who was a lawyer. And he didn't, he didn't believe in Baba, and he didn't believe in God. But he would sit there kind of politely in Mandalay Hall. And some weeks went by, and one day Erich says, I don't believe in God. I don't know if there's God. He starts talking this way. Erich, and he talked on about, having doubts about God and everything. And afterwards, when we came out of Mandalay Hall, we said, did Erich say that he didn't believe in God and didn't know God? I mean, what is going on here? I mean, we're like, did I hear this correct? But what he did is you know, this fellow who didn't believe in God and everything, his saying that, which included him in the sessions in Mandalay Hall. So even though what Erich was saying is not true, even to him, it was true because it expanded the room to include, because of love, to include this guy. And so after that, he was not uncomfortable in Mandalay Hall. Now imagine that.
Wow.
That is stretching the limits of honesty, but for the sake of love.
Wow. That's
So
incredible.
it's, I mean, we were like flabbergasted, like, and I mean, I only put it together when I thought about that guy over there, you know, this Robert Love. That's when I kind of realized, wow, that is why Erich said that. Because
That is the story of Satyamang.
What's that?
Satyamang, who was a dacoit in the Baba's fort. Before he came into the Baba's fort, he was a terror at the Ahmednagar, and then he was turned out. And Baba said to live honestly, and this thing about the dacoit story about Satyamang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Dinku, what you doing up there, over there?
Nothing. My dog was in a playful mood, so I was playing with him. That's why I put my audio on silent.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I finished all my morning chores, and now I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
Jet,
Well,
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was listening to what you said, something about, you know, that for Baba lovers, you have to be on the gross plane. You can't go higher.
Well, no, it doesn't mean that you can if you want, but Bob, this is what Adi said. It's to bring you down.
But then isn't the ultimate aim to go higher? I mean, spiritually, you know, to progress onto, how would I put it? You know, the final aim is to progress until you go through all the stages and you're in union.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, Baba's method, as I understand it, is that, and I think Baba gave this figure. If you're taking down a tree, say, you're going to take down a tree, you can go up in the top, you know, 10 feet and cut it down, then come down another 10 feet and go gradually, you come all the way down to the base of the tree. That's like going through the planes, stage by stage. But Baba's method, even though he's for all the saints too, and many of them are stationed on the planes, but with his lovers, what he does is he introduces termites into the tree. And the termites just eat out and hollow out the tree. So that all intents and purposes, it's still in the gross plane, but everything is hollowed out. So all you have to do is just kick it and the whole tree topples. So it's a hollowing out rather than a realization of your spiritual potential. It is hollowing out so that love, not spirituality, but love can fill your interior.
Because the spirituality is also a binding. It's just a subtler binding. And Baba wants to do away with all bindings. He wants to awaken
Baba
us.
said that, sorry. Yeah, Baba said that he will take us blindfolded. Instead of being aware of where we are, that all that, he just said he will take us blindfolded, which is much easier.
Yeah, and even though we really do, Baba said you do go through the planes, but you're not aware of it. He kind of gave the figure of being on a train, you know, and you don't get off the train at all at any of the stations. You don't get off at the first plane station, the second plane station. You just stay on the train. until the destination.
You don't get off to enjoy the sights and sounds and attractions.
Yeah, because Baba says the subtle world is even vaster and vaster than the gross plane. And it takes this lifetimes and lifetimes to try to absorb, just what's on this plane. I mean, I haven't learned physics yet. I don't. In fact, I don't have to. I don't want to come back and have to learn physics.
It's a fun subject, Jeff.
I did take physics actually, but so it's basically the spiritual planes are still in the realm of illusion. Baba's trying to get us to turn directly to him, which is to the real. So we're taking the spiritual bypass.
Wow.
What they call the spiritual bypass.
Wow, that's really great, intense.
Yeah. So that you don't have to feel bad if you're not having any exalted experiences. Just petting your dog and everything is being loving. But love is fine.
Yeah.
Really, it's.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's a funny idea, because I've grown attached to a certain degree of how, like, if I have some kind of what I would call like an exalted experience where I feel very connected, to someone beyond myself. Let's say, like, I feel very connected to someone, or like my boundaries I've been able to drop my boundaries, or I feel like Baba has dropped my boundaries to feel very connected to other people. I use that as a gauge. Oh, am I in the right direction? Am I on the right path? Does Baba love me? Am I a close one to Baba? Things like that. All these egocentric perspectives try to jump in the way of and justify the experience, and really, like, it's not that. It's not important. The loving act is what's really important.
Yeah, I mean, you can love universally from the gross plane. You don't necessarily have to go
what
up.
Jake says, just to adding to that, means I think when we talk of that, when we were saying about impersonal love, which the monthly could have or rich could have, but as humans, don't we feel like we are connected to some people more than we are connected to others? And some people you just don't feel connected, even if you try your best, and you just don't know why. So, but for some people, with some people, you just feel very connected.
Yeah, why that is, you mean?
Yeah, it happens, and at a normal level, that happens where you feel very connected to certain people, very much connected, and with certain people, you just absolutely don't feel any connection, and some people is just normal. So, I mean, that happens. And when we talk about impersonal love, it really, like, with some people we just can love very naturally, and with some people you still have that blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I mean, yeah. You were saying, Dinko?
No, I'm just saying that it's like a deja vu with some people, and yet with others it takes time to develop, a connection, if at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's Baba, the last message that Baba gave on an alphabet board in 1954, he said that we would be held together by internal links with each other, not just with Baba, but with each other. So these internal links have been forged for centuries and centuries. I mean, the fact that we're here is we're responding to the internal links that we have developed in the past, and these will be our support system for the next 700 years. We're going to keep running into each other. So we're naturally going to feel closer to people we've been hanging out with for centuries and centuries than just the shop owner down the street, unless we have some past connection with them. There's, where there's a more of a give and take of love. You naturally gravitate to people who understand where you're coming from. I find, like in Myrtle Beach, I kind of, with the just general people in Myrtle Beach, I have to kind of give the edited version of myself. I don't go up and say I'm a Baba lover. I mean, they'll just they'll they'll turn on me, or they'll roll their eyes, or they'll think I'm crazy. If I really told them what I'm up to and where I'm coming from inwardly. So I'm not going to have the kind of rapport that I'm going to have, with you or Jake or Lanita, because we already we can kind of give the unedited version of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of get down to the point, that, yeah.
What about people that you have a rapport with, and something it's for a particular period of time, and then something happens and things go wrong, and you just break off with them, and that's the end of it. You don't communicate, you don't have anything to do with them anymore. So is that sort of, you had to, whatever your past sanskaras or whatever was with them, you finished that, and now that's over? Am I clear? I'm not sure.
But I always think that it's important to hold a space of unconditional love for these people at an inner level. And if you're meant to cross paths in the future, you have the love that's ready to receive them. But if they are not drawn back to you, then maybe your karma is has been finished. But I always feel it's good to keep a place of a space of unconditional love for all the people that we've had in our life. And if they come back, they're coming back for love. They're not coming back to exact their karma on you. You know what I mean? They're not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is a beautiful message from Erich on this. It's from Real Treasure. Can I read it?
Yeah.
Okay. On this point, try to look for Baba within everyone. He is the being of all being, which means that at the center of every being, every personality, you will find Baba. It is Baba who is surrounded and caught up in a mold of sanskaras, which creates the bubble that we identify as the personality of a person. The individual personality only does what the mold of sanskaras pushes him to do. If you look at this personality and interact only at that level, the differences will arise, and there are chances that you will get irritated and angry. Try to ignore this mold of sanskaras that is programmed to act in a certain way, and look at Baba trapped within this mold. In reality, it is Baba trapped within everyone's mold of sanskaric impressions, trying to break free. Try to see this, develop the attitude and frame of mind which recognizes this, and remember it. A time will come when you will begin to perceive it. When you begin to perceive it, all resentments will end. It is only this perception that will help you to ignore the personality and love Baba within every heart. So when you lose your temper, calm your mind with this knowledge. Try to see Baba within the personality that you just felt irritation for. It will not only help you to get rid of irritation, but you will be able to forgive, forget, and then embrace that personality with love. For it is really Baba that you are embracing in that moment. Keep working on this. It is okay if you lose temper, but take the corrective action afterwards, which is learn to forgive, forget, and create love for Baba in that person. Do not walk away with resentment and anger in your heart, for these situations will follow and catch up with you at a later date. So these are words of Erich.
That, yeah, that says it all.
Wow. Yeah.
Kind of essence to essence, rather than personality self to personality self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if they don't let go and do the homework and dissolve the resentment?
Don't make, yeah, you don't want to make your response contingent on them. They may or may not, they may continue with a negative attitude toward you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if, you know, the person.
But it's nice if you can get an essence to essence connection with somebody rather than personality to personality, because the personalities at any one time, personalities are just bundles of sanskaras, and your sanskaras might be in harmony with somebody in the morning, and then the afternoon your sanskaras have shifted and their sanskaras have shifted. Now you're at each other's throats, and then by evening you're, you know, having a good time together. I mean, it's very, very ephemeral, very fleeting and changing.
Yeah.
But if you can get essence to somebody, then the personalities are just like the clothes they wear. You know.
I understand that, but what I was saying is, if you're conscious and doing this work and trying to see the person, the Baba in them,
Yeah.
and yet they're hanging on to the personality story.
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah, you just have to.
Are you able to dissolve their personality attachment to you, or?
I mean, through love, it can be done.
Nothing is
prayer.
impossible through love.
What's that?
Nothing is impossible through love.
And that's your high. That's your highest card that you can play. You can't kind of force them; it won't work. And yeah, and you know, but I find thinking of everyone as Baba in disguise is, you know, that's Baba playing the role of Jake Lawton, a physics teacher, you know, whipping his kids into education.
I try not to whip, but encourage.
No, but I mean, sometimes you can look at the through that camera angle, you know, that's hey, that's Baba playing Ganesh, you know. I mean, it's possible, and you know that, so that you get you don't just reduce them to a personality. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to share this experience that I had this evening, where earlier on I was working with that, you know, with focusing on someone and you know, kind of trying to expand myself to the person, and realizing and you know, sensing that we're really internally connected. And in doing so, I could, for just a brief moment, you know, get this glimpse that you know, the personality level was just as much of an expression of me as my own personality is, I guess. And so therefore it is just as much coming from Baba as anything else. So there was it was no question of accepting the expression of this person as being coming from me. It felt like there's no boundary, I suppose, between my expression of my personality and their expression of their personality. It was very much one and the same on an internal level. Not that I, you know, I got to be careful. I'm not saying that I could like read anybody's mind or anything like that, but I just could feel the connection.
Yeah.
The boundary of personality outside kind of dissolved. So
Good. Yeah.
it didn't feel like there was any hardship in accepting that person and feeling myself or that person in me or myself in that person. It was very, very sweet, very simple in that sense.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, and if you can do that with each person, you'll you'll have a very expanded life. What did Baba say? To love someone is like, to truly love someone is like adding their life to your own, and you live, as it were, in two centers. You actually, you can live through not just your own personality, but you can live through other personalities without interfering with their personality. But I mean, without encroaching on their personality. You can enhance, but I mean, that's a beautiful thing. That
You mean like, in a marriage, in a married couple, you're not trying to coerce the other person to be more a certain way so that you feel more comfortable,
yeah,
more comfortable around them.
yeah,
Yeah.
You kind of take what you get and try to accept it, and with love, kind of softens everything, softens all of the edges, and
Yeah.
over time.
Man, I tell you, that's a I feel that struggle in married life, the wanting to control, not even control, but wanting the other person to change for the sake of myself as opposed to for the sake of themselves.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
big,
I mean, it's good to see that, because a lot of people, they don't even see that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Jake, I think most of us have that problem.
yeah. If only you just wouldn't yell in this particular way when you're trying to say something.
Yeah.
If you
I
just
know that.
put the lid on the honey jar.
That's right. Absolutely, that's right.
But if you're aware of this, Jake, if you're aware, it's a big step ahead,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're aware like you are, and you're able to talk about it and to make it this conscious, it's a big step ahead of you and your spouse,
Yeah, thank you for that. That's I hope that I can overcome that part.
Yeah. Like I said, at a samskaric level, we're never quite in harmony, but at an essence level, we're always in harmony. But like that's the way. I mean, it's like, say my sanskars are in springtime, and Lanita's sanskars are in winter. And we come together. I mean, the spring and summer. I mean, spring and winter just don't mesh. But like, suppose she moves into springtime, and I'm still in springtime. Wow, we're really doing well together for a while, and then I move into summer, and she's left in spring. I mean, the sanskars are flowing through, and it's very hard for them to mesh all the time. It's asking the impossible, but the essence is unchanging, and so we can always be connected in that way, which is
And
beautiful.
I think, Jeff, in relationships, we kind of hand over the sword, if you will, to people that are closest to us. We hand over the sword that they can then slay us with. They are the hand of God. Through them, our sanskaras are coming to the surface and hopefully being slain, because otherwise they would just stay dormant. If we stayed in a cave, or if we just stayed with people that we were harmonious with, our own dark would not come to the surface.
Yeah.
So I think it's an act of mercy that we get into relationships where our own darkness comes to the surface.
Yeah. and our good qualities, our creative and beautiful qualities also get drawn out.
Yeah.
But it's a very compassionate system. But Baba said, I created everything. And I've created everything with such precision that nothing really has to be changed. But it's a very compassionate system, even though it doesn't seem like it. You know, your marriage falls apart and you think, oh, that was a terrible thing. But 20 years later, you talk to somebody and they'll tell you it was the best thing that happened. They woke up to some things in themselves. You know, so things that seem bad are actually it's very compassionate. If you're very cruel to somebody in one lifetime, you may have that cruelty come back on yourself, not as a punishment, but so that you can so that you won't do that so much anymore. Like I say, when Beryl Williams came, she was black and she grew up in America and experienced all the prejudice toward her. And she asked Baba when she came to Center in 52, why was I black? And Baba said, because in the past you were very cruel to blacks. It's not a punishment. It's not a punishment. You get the other side, so you don't do it anymore. It makes you more of a loving person. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I mean, Mayor Prasad lived in Newark, New Jersey, you know, last lifetime, and but he was did very good things in Newark, New Jersey, so he got to be living in Seattle, which is a beautiful place. With Mount Rainier there, and very compassionate. He got out of New Jersey.
You know, Jeff,
wait, Prakash is here. Oh my God. Oh.
That's what I'm about to say. I'm only 20 miles away, Jeff, so I should be worried now. Let me also go to Seattle now.
No, you come to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, now that your boys are out of the house, you know,
I think I'm evolving. I'm evolving from New York to Myrtle Beach. I used to live in New York. Now I live in Myrtle Beach. So Bob is lifting me up.
Yeah. No, but Jake, I mean, I think it's good to think of all of these things. I mean, I think it gets better and better with Baba over time. A lot of things that were more extreme and sharp in myself over time have softened and I've mellowed out. And,
Jeff, do we have enough time to get through all of our shit before the other shit hits the fan?
Like I said, like all that you're doing, I mean, as I said, Ganesh wasn't here, but the thing that heartened me when I was young is all of the work that you do on the divine qualities of empathy and forgiveness and patience. And you go on to the next lifetime and you just pick up where you left off. So your lives get better and better. Even
what about this whole thing with experiencing the opposite?
Well, love, if you can go to love, you don't have to get the severe opposites.
That's right.
You know, so the more you focus on Baba, the more you pull out of the whole site, the more you pull out of the opposites.
That's why I can't vote.
What's that?
That, that's why I cannot vote.
You better vote.
I mean, you know, I can't vote red or blue. It's got to be purple.
Yeah. Well, you vote. You vote on what you think will bring the most love into this world.
Oh my God.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
And I've already chosen.
Is Baba a candidate? Is he an independent?
That's a good one.
But
I really was.
The women Mandalay, they would say, oh, we'd like Clinton to win. We want Clinton. Or they had their favorites. Or they would say they didn't want Nixon. They didn't want Nixon. Harry Kenmore was there with Baba, and he was, I can't remember exactly, but he said, Baba, don't let Nixon win. And Baba was kind of non-committal, but he said something like, I have a plan, or that, that he kind of indicated that something was going to happen with Nixon.
He did, and it did happen.
But people had all sorts of preferences, and
So I wonder if I ask Baba.
huh?
I wonder if I ask Baba about one of the candidates. Please, Baba, don't let this one win.
Yeah. Well, the one embodied.
Baba, we're gonna say the same thing for me. I had a plan. You be quiet.
Yeah, I have a plan. I think is what he said. But I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, if you pick your friends, the ones that are more loving and ones that embody, lying and dishonesty and hurtfulness, some of these some of these choices are pretty easy nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, I had this experience recently about the choosing a candidate to vote on, and the experience that I had was just like this shot of this glimpse that, like, we're destined for certain things. There's some certain destructive aspects that have to come about. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And that in a choice of there's two things to say about a choice of candidate. Number one, it doesn't matter which choice is made and which president or which candidate gets elected to become president. We're still on that same course that has to play out. The only thing that's going to differ is how it plays out. And there's no choosing of a candidate that's going to change that destination. I think equal destruction will come about from either candidate. But the most important thing, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying, Jeff, is that in the act and the choice of the candidate to choose and to pick, our choice coming from a place of love is what's most important, because we can't control the outcome of either A, the election, or B, how we get to where we have to go, but we can do it with our heart from a place of love, and that's the meaningful aspect here, I think, at the end of the day, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes one candidate rather than another can make a worldwide difference. And yeah, Baba, didn't want the Mandali kind of involved in politics, but his followers, it's all right. I mean, Erich used to say, don't you Americans ever read the newspaper? Don't you know what's going on? I mean, it's kind of like, what? You don't know what's going on in this world? But yeah, this is gonna be a pivotal moment for the world, I would say, this November.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could, I will say I don't mean in what I share, I don't mean to discourage anyone from voting or casting hopelessness.
Yeah.
But for me, I found that kind of relieving. Maybe perhaps others, maybe not, but I found that relieving. That the pressure of having to have some control over what's going to happen and how it plays out, for me, is alleviated through that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that was helpful to me. But still, my choice comes from a place of love, or so that's my intention anyway.
Yeah. So Baba said if his lovers would cultivate thoughts of world,
ये देख चलता है कि नहीं तो फिर उद्या कराएगा.
they can be brought about. So that's how powerful even the level of thought is. If my lovers would cultivate thoughts of world peace, it could be brought about. That's pretty amazing. But
What is it, Jeff? Can you please say again? If my lovers what?
Baba said, if my lovers would cultivate thoughts of world peace, it could be brought.
Oh, right. Yeah, I heard that before.
Because our thoughts are linked. Our thoughts are linked with Baba, who is universal. So it can have a much larger impact than our little local thoughts,
Yeah.
But I think
can you repeat that again? If my lovers can
cultivate thoughts of world peace, it could be brought about. That's how powerful our thinking is.
Yeah.
And let's also cultivate thoughts of the virus going away.
Yeah. I mean,
I think something similar. There was this journalist somewhere in England, I believe, who asked Baba, how can we prevent another war? And Baba said, by thinking that there will be no war, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But I would vote for Ganesh to be the first Baba Pope.
No, binding.
He's got to get a better wardrobe than he has got now, but anyway, I think I'm gonna head off.
Yeah, me too.
Anybody have any last words from Baba?
Last.
I have a quote here, which we all know, but I can share again. So this goes, to penetrate into the essence of all being and significance, and to release the fragrance of...
Dinku is, yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all know this, but I'll read it again. Yeah. To penetrate into the essence of all being and significance, and to release the fragrance of that inner attainment for the guidance and benefit of others by expressing in the world of forms, truth, love, purity, and beauty. This is a soul game. This is a soul game which has any intrinsic and absolute worth. All other happenings, incidents, and attainments can, in themselves, have no lasting importance. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, yeah. Okay. Wonderful to see all you.
Can I read a quote? Just found a beautiful quote.
What's that?
What's that?
Can I read a quote?
Yeah, Ganesh.
Yes, something.
Yeah.
I want you to make me your constant companion. Think of me more than you think of your own self. The more you think of me, the more you will realize my love for you. Your duty is to keep me constantly with you throughout your thoughts, speech, and actions. Meher Baba.
Beautiful.
Wow, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
That's it.
It's good to go to sleep with these words. Okay, everyone. Good
Jai Baba,
night.
guys.
Good
Jai
night,
Baba.
Good morning,
Nasreen.
India
Yes,
people.
Jai Baba, yes. I'm
Yes.
listening. I'm listening and enjoying and learning.
Oh, good. Well, we're all going to go to bed now.
Yes, please.
Some of us are.
It's too late for you.
Except Dinku. Dinku just got out of bed, so we're going to bed. And,
Dinesh, you know.
and Ganesh
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my day here. So
and
my day
Meher
starts.
Shah.
Much
It's only
love
10,
and
10
much
o'clock
love.
in the morning, 10:08 in the Indian time morning.
Ah.
You're a long way to go for sleep.
So Jeff, you will be in tomorrow?
Yeah. I'll be around. See you guys. Much love.
Much love to you, Jeff.
Love
Jai
those
Baba.
Kar Meher Baba ki jai.
Kar Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba.
Meher Baba ki jai.
Thank you.